So Anthony Fantano's in some controversy now, and I think it's a good time to remind everybody that this guy refused to review Kanye's album because he was so upset. Kanye was saying these anti-Semitic things on Twitter. How that has to do with anything he's released musically, I don't know, especially as a music reviewer. You are not a politics reviewer. You are not a political person at all, or like an anti-Semitic police officer. Review the music. Put the review in the bag. So let's take a look at this. Shut up already. I think it's something to do with Halsey. I don't really know who she is. Pretty sure she made a song that I like. Let's take a look.
So there's this YouTuber named Anthony Fantano who makes videos revolved around music album reviews and news centered on music artists. I guess he's known for being overly harsh when criticizing songs.
Dude, I can't take him seriously as well because he gave Iceman either a 1 or a 2. That's just ridiculous, bro. How could you give Iceman a 1 or a 2? Maybe he gave it a 3. That's just like you don't like Drake, so you're gonna give his album a low score. That's ridiculous. And he went on to say that this was the craziest thing ever. Because Drake has streamed with Aiden Ross, and Aiden Ross has streamed with Nick Fuentes, that Drake is somehow like giving credence to the alt-right, which is ridiculous, bro. Drake is Jewish himself. Iceman is horrible though. Iceman is not horrible. That's not even close to true. It isn't his best work, but it's not horrible. If you like rap, you know that Iceman is a pretty good album.
Albums and artists, you know, that's kind of like a shtick, which is fine. I understand exaggerating for entertainment purposes, but apparently that behavior got him into trouble recently due to a video he made all the way back in 2024. But before I go over why this video is being resurfaced, why don't we go ahead and take a look at what Anthony said that caused the backlash in the first place. About 2 years ago, Anthony uploaded a video reviewing The Great Impersonator, an album created by a music artist named Halsey, and within Anthony's review, he claims Halsey's album has one of the worst cases of main character syndrome he's seen that year, along with claiming the album is overly edgy and dark.
Because this entire record has the worst case of main character syndrome I've heard on any pop album in 2024. Not only due to the fact that this record subjects listeners to multiple indulgent cuts that sound like messy demos and just would not make it onto a more respectable release that was actually well conceptualized, most notably the draft track of Life of the Spider. So yeah, it's that, and also all of the lyrics on this record where it seems like Halsey is just hell-bent on making sure the audience knows just how dark and tortured and edgy she is. Well, they say all
I feel like his music reviews are so clouded by whether he woke up on the right side of the bed or not. Do you guys ever feel like that? I could just never tell where he's going with a review, which you might think gives him more credibility, but I think it gives him less because there's this time where he'll hear a lyric that sounds stupid and he'll like it because it's silly, it's playful, they don't take themselves too seriously. But then this, a different artist will give you the same lyric and then he goes, this guy's being silly, he must not care. He must not take his music seriously, so I can't take his music seriously, so his music gets a low score. I don't know. I just feel like, who the fuck listens to this guy's reviews? Like, seriously. Music should be for your own enjoyment, and I know he agrees with this. I know he says, it's just my opinion, right? If you enjoy the music, then listen to it. But it makes me so frustrated for when I hear a song, and I think I have a somewhat trained ear because I listen to a very wide variety of music, and then he'll just start saying shit about the music that I've listened to and I've given my own review that is just so far off base from the way that I enjoyed it. And I know it's different strokes for different folks, but for someone to be this far off, it's brutal. And then for him, like with Vultures, to say that he can't review it, it's unreviewable trash just because Kanye is anti-Semitic. That's ridiculous. Then why would you be a music reviewer? Why would you be a music reviewer if you decline to review music because of the personal politics of one of the artists? That's insane, okay?
Dogs go to heaven. Well, what about a bitch? What about an evil girl left lying in a ditch? Jesus Christ.
So, why did these two takes cause massive backlash towards Anthony? Well, as it turns out, Halsey has lupus and leukemia, and much of her album references these two diseases, the concept of being forgotten after death, and mortality itself. Even the album name, The Great Impersonator, could be interpreted as a reference to one of her illnesses. When people who knew the context of Halsey's life and how she integrated her terminal illness within the album, they immediately called Anthony out out for being overly harsh and unsympathetic.
Dude, again, this is the problem with making this kind of shit. He also has to apologize for giving a bad review to an album, even if it was bad, after the artist dies.
Halsey was going through while making this album: cancer, her husband leaving her dog dying, her record label dropping her.
Yeah, that's pretty sad, dude. And like, for you to go in and be like, oh, this shit sucks. Like, brutal. Also, it's so much worse when the material that's being spoken about is something you're criticizing for sounding like fake edgy or forced anger. But it's like, this woman is going through a fucking disease. She has cancer. It's probably not going well. So she's not gonna say about how good her life is going. She's probably gonna be upset. And then you're like, bro, she's upset? Main character syndrome. Anthony Fantano, you are retarded. Like, what's going on?
All while raising a toddler. But wow, yeah, what a victim mentality.
Oh, did he say that? Did he criticize her for having a victim mentality? Dude, she's a victim of cancer.
Such main character syndrome. Life imitating art. You could be literally dying, but some dude was still thinking you're doing too much. You know this take is bad when the comments are actually discussing the review. Ice Spice rapped about poop and got a 4 rating.
Oh, no.
This man is insane.
No!
However,
Ice Spice got a 4? Dude, that's absurd. SpongeBob, big guy, pants okay.
Ice Spice rapped about poop and got a 4 rating. This man is insane. However, those defending Anthony...
That's another thing. It all has to be following the same decile scale, because people are going to compare the album that you gave a 4 to the album that you gave a 10, and the album that you gave a 0 compared to the album that you gave a 4. If you honestly think that Ice Spice's poop album is better than Vulture's, you should never be allowed to upload a YouTube video ever on the subject of music.
Are arguing that, well, he isn't criticizing Halsey for making a personal album revolving around her cancer. He's just saying the lyrics themselves are mediocre. While I definitely see that being the case for some of Fantano's critiques, I think many of his defenders are still being incredibly disingenuous. Obviously, someone's music isn't immune to criticism because they have a terminal illness. As a critic, it's Fantano's job to say how he truly feels and not hold back. For example, Anthony criticizes Halsey's failure to show admiration for multiple music artists to replicate their music as some sort of homage, but her songs fail to actually sound similar to their music.
Yeah, to finish this album off, you have to hear the same mid-ballad 3 times. And this version apparently is supposed to be kind of spring.
In Anthony Fantano's defense, when people are dying, they're kind of fucking annoying. Like, I get where he's coming from, you know? Like, oh, I'm dying. Can you please get my feeding tube inserted to my stomach or something? Oh, I'm dying. Can you get the nurse in here so she can take my temperature? It's like, no, I'm busy. Okay? Like, no, I'm doom scrolling. I'm playing Clash Royale. Like, I get it. It's kind of based. It's kind of cool. He's like, yeah, I don't care. Leave me alone. Stop whining. So cool. Anthony Fantano, you rock.
Springsteen, but what is Springsteen about the way this sounds? The airy synthesizers, faint rock drum beat, and crowd noise in the background, which doesn't sound like Springsteen. What it sounds like is you.
Someone's lying on their deathbed and wants to be brought a thermometer and an ice pack or whatever it is, like a nice cold glass of water. Please, Mr. Fantano, I'm dying. Can you get me some water? Dude, victim mentality, okay? It has to stop. Cut it out.
Trying to recall the vibes of the one time you've heard Dancing in the Dark years ago.
And that's a fair critique.
Dude, he's so mad.
The vibes of the one time you heard Dancing in the Dark years ago.
And that's a fair critique. However, throughout Anthony's entire video review, there is not one segment of him mentioning the fact Halsey has a terminal illness, which...
That is it, like... That, to me, is crazy, because if he wants to say Kanye is anti-Semitic because of the things he says on Twitter, and, like, he knows what's going on, like the news around the artists that he's reviewing, then how could he miss this? This has 2 million likes.
We've established is relevant to the album. This review isn't just a different opinion, it's omitting context to make Halsey seem more melodramatic than
yeah, so it's like, are you gonna separate the art from the artist or not?
She's presenting herself through her music. So either Anthony didn't know the context behind these songs, meaning he didn't
look at his profile picture. He's mad here too. He's always mad. He's mad as hell.
His research, or he did.
Look at this. He's furious that she has cancer. God! God! Victim mentality! Right. Okay.
and failed to inform his viewers why Halsey would choose certain lyrics that come off as quote-unquote dark and edgy, simply labeling Halsey's usage of different styles of music for her childish angst, as Anthony would put it.
Halsey doesn't really seem interested in these styles of music for their aesthetics or what made them creative. Really, she only seems to be using them as a means of laundering untold amounts of just, again, childish angst.
By not
Isn't that what music is, though? Isn't music using different styles to launder? Like, launder is just a worse way and a more insulting way of saying, like, communicate. Like, you're communicating feelings through music. He's just going, you're laundering this childhood angst. Like she's trying to sneak it in there or something. Like she's smuggling fucking fentanyl through the Mexican border. She's laundering human trafficking, human laundering. What are you talking about? She's writing music about her struggle, right? That's not like laundering childhood angst through the music. Again, bro, he's just bro, he like finds a new adjective every day to supplement instead of using the actual proper adjective because it makes him sound smarter. The coffee shop hipster music reviewer guy who can't just criticize music if it sounds good or not. He has to dress up the language he uses in order to make what he's saying sound more valid. Like, holy shit.
Untold amounts of just, again, childish angst.
By not providing the context for why the album was created, Anthony misrepresents the music he's reviewing. It's easier for him to say that she's just being edgy and acting like she's tortured without that pesky cancer diagnosis being referenced. It would be much easier for Anthony's viewers to understand why the lyrics feel dark and tortured if they were informed on Halsey's illness.
Well, Diesel, Anthony is allowed to dislike the album.
And I'm also allowed to say his takes are absolute dog shit. And now, this all happened about 2 years ago, so why is this album review being bashed today? Well, one Twitter user decided to post something to ignite this conversation once more. I didn't really agree with how Fantano approached some aspects of his Halsey review, but I can't understand how there's still discourse about it all this time later. It's not like it's some great album. How are people still hung up over it? Anthony decided to leave a cheeky little response by saying if they're more into the review than the album. Yes, act like a smug asshole. Definitely makes your case stronger. Anthony seems to feel like he's in a position where everyone just agrees with him and that it's obvious.
This is a bad argument because you're saying that your review is valid because people aren't listening to the album. Because you criticized it and people wouldn't rather listen to the album, that your review is somehow correct. But there's literally so many, ultimately people want to listen to music that just sounds good. Like it doesn't have to make sense. The lyrics could be trash, but they want to listen to music that sounds good. Even if the lyrics are fine, if the lyrics make perfect sense, ultimately you have probably hundreds of different components that make a song either good or bad. You were wrong about the components that made it bad. So people are mad at your review for highlighting the wrong thing.
Obvious that his video wasn't problematic in any sort of way, or it doesn't make sense for why people would be offended at some segments. Halsey did end up noticing Fantano's tweet and replied to him, "I'm certain my least memorable song will be remembered more fondly and for more time than anything you ever do with your life will be. Everything you say is more whiny and edgy than I was at any point on the album, but at least I had the excuse of going through chemo. Who cares if he gave a bad review? I care that a pay-for-clicks reaction YouTuber can facade as a pro-critic and say it's main character syndrome for an artist to lament her medical suffering on an album about her own life. He's a raised by 4chan edgelord bully. Yuck." So Fantano notices that Halsey is under the impression that he mocked her for going through chemo, and instead of explaining why that wasn't the case, he instead responds with this. Yeah, definitely helping your case there, buddy. And Fantano even goes as
Dude, what?
responds with this.
I'm flattered to be on your radar, queen. Oh no, dude, what? Not the you live rent-free in my head argument. Dude, she was offended that you tore her thing to shreds where she's talking about her disease. And it was because of the lyrics that are about her disease or like tied to it.
Yeah.
Also, come on, bro. Like, you're too old for this. You're too big for this. Like, you have 3 million subscribers, okay? People know who you are. We're past this whole, oh my God, they know who I am? Like, you aren't, like, one of the biggest music reviewers on YouTube. Like, yeah, people know who you are. What the fuck is this?
Definitely helping your case there, buddy. And Fantano even goes as far as to double down on his album review by saying me being based for his main character syndrome and childish angst comments. Yeah, why correct the record record when you can further convince people that mocking someone with cancer was indeed your intent. How is this supposed to help your image? I do think it's hilariously ironic that one of Fantano's main complaints for Halsey was that within her album, she showed main character syndrome, when this guy's ego would pop if it were to be inflated any more than it already has. I broke pop music. I'm sorry. They're more into the review than the album. I tweeted, generated more convo about the album than the deluxe release earlier this year. Here's him retweeting a post from Denims, which, first of all, ew. And second, it's a meme comparing himself to Jesus Christ receiving hate for merely speaking the truth. Here's an interview that Anthony did with Variety, where he explains that he doesn't have to prove his track record to Halsey because he has been the most relevant and impactful music critic of his and any generation for over 10 years now. And that isn't debatable. There's no music critic bigger than me who's
How do you quantify impact? Like, by you getting views on YouTube? Like, what does that mean, impact? Like, oh, I don't see the Fantano impact anywhere in music. Please tell me where it is, because I don't see it. My liked playlist on Spotify has nothing to do with the Anthony Fantano impact. I think the people who have impact most on the artists, or on the music industry, are the artists themselves, because artists take inspiration from other artists. They don't really take inspiration from critics. And then fans. Like, what are the fans like? Oh, if the fans love this song, whatever, I'll probably make more stuff like this. So I don't think most of what he makes has any sort of bearing on the music that gets released, like, at all.
have more impact than me for as long as I have. And if I die tomorrow,
Like, it is true, he does have a large viewer base, but again, is that impact?
nobody's going to outdo that run. This was all said within a span of 2 days, by the way. Just him stroking his other bald head in multiple ways. Personally, do I think Anthony intended to mock someone with cancer? No. I think the mature choice would have been to recognize why she would take it that way, considering he left out much of the context behind creating the album within his review. But I get the feeling that Anthony believes he can never do or say anything wrong. After all, he is the greatest and most impactful music.
Yeah, I do feel like those sort of lyrics would hit differently if you know what this person is going through, right? So I do think that they're having that other layer of context is pretty important.
Critic of any generation.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's crazy for him to say that someone has main character syndrome and then he goes on to stroke his ego like that. Thinks he's the main character of music. What would music be without Anthony Fantano? Probably exactly the same. There would be very few differences, if any. Yeah, what do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's see if people are saying he's not invited to the blunt rotation. Oh, people take him seriously. I thought he was a meme. Suggests she has main character syndrome and acts like the main character every second of every minute. Yes, I'm employed. I just have a slot problem. That's pretty true. So yeah, that's pretty much it.